And we try to, when we set the schedule up, we try to apportion tutors close to the class times that they're going to be working. It just so happens the way we've scheduled things this semester is that math is always on Tuesday and Thursday. So the math tutors will definitely get Tuesday and Thursday hours, and we try to get them, you know, close to leading up to and coming away from the classes that they're going to be best tutoring for. English is Monday and Wednesday, but also maybe some other days. So a lot of our English tutors are Monday and Wednesdays. But there's also a mix in case the Tuesday and Thursday math person is there on Monday and wants to do some math. But we kind of focus that way.
Now let's talk a little bit about outcomes. Have you already collected feedback data on students who were here and coming out of the tutoring have gone here? Do you have stories like that? Do you collect data of that sort?
We
Do
don't.
they come back and say, you know what, this made a difference?
Though, considering.
We have a lot of anecdotal data, you know, a lot of stories.
Right.
But you know, in terms of really tracking, that's a hard thing to do with the manpower. The manpower that we have, we spend on tutoring.
And that's the best investment.
You know, we do some data tracking in terms of how much we tutor, when, and what subjects. But to do the rest of it would take
What about
a lot
feedback
more
from
time.
professors? Do you get feedback from professors telling you that, oh, this person has been coming to your tutoring and I've seen a difference?
And I've seen that a lot of, I mean, I've
that
seen
to me is
feedback.
invaluable, more than any statistic, to get the feedback and the anecdotal. I think qualitative is where to go. That's great. That's great. Now, do you have any specific requirements when you do the recruiting for the? Do they have to be sophomores, juniors, or what is your cutoff in terms of getting the tutor job?
Well, community college is different. Like, we don't really have sophomores, juniors in that
It's so
regard.
fluid.
So
well, it's a 2-year school to start with.
So we recruit based on, you know, professor feedback and what we've seen, but we also we do look at transcripts just to see how they've done in the classes that we're trying to recruit them for.
So it is a 2-year program. I'm always in the paradigm of the basic 4-year model, and so thinking that the seniors and juniors would be the tutors. So this is even more challenging because you need to find stellar pupils within that first year, second year range.
Right.
And so do you mostly hire sophomores then?
Well, you see, the interesting thing is that, you know, a lot of our students are part-time because they're working, they're of all different ages, so they have families. So luckily, I mean, at least from my perspective, it's a 2-year school, but a lot of our students aren't there for just 2 years.
Right.
So we have an
until they're
opportunity
done.
to hold on to them a little bit longer.
Which
Theo
is, I
was kind
think,
an
part of
exception.
what
She didn't stay very long, but she just breezed through.
But one of the things I think that contributes to is that loyalty, that climate of family, because they go at a pace where they're taking a course when they can, and they continue taking the other course, and so they're there longer in some ways, and develop a more personal connection with everyone.
Being a student there at my level, at my age, I should be a normal student in a normal college. So the atmosphere that QV gives me, I think it's unique. It's really, I wouldn't have learned it.
It's more personalized.
Yeah, I really wouldn't have learned it anywhere else.
That's the richness of it.
Because I study with mothers, fathers, you know, people who could be my mother, my father, you know, they're of that age, but you have to respect these people's work ethic because they've already had their ups and downs in their life, so they're coming back and they're coming for it. You know what I mean?
And
so
what
we
a
have to
rich
keep up with them.
experience to learn from them, because I'm sure that as they tell stories, you pick up on things that you wouldn't have, you don't now need to experience because you know what they went through.
And the biggest thing is somebody is like the younger pupils, the people coming straight out of high school, going into college. Some of them start out with the idea of, I'm just going to stay in college because this is how life is. You know, after high school, you go to college. But when you see people that are 40 years old and they're in it to win it and they're your competition, I mean, you got to keep up with them, you know what I'm saying? So it's different than going to, because a university, your peers are your age, and so the work ethic is fairly the same, you know what I mean? Mostly procrastinators.
Me parece que todo lo que estás diciendo es sumamente importante para el público hispanohablante, porque también eso es intimidante, porque muchos creen que hay que estar atado, amarrado a un programa por esta secuencia y que si te pierdes esta no puedes seguir para adelante.
no.
Y la manera en que está construido el proyecto de ustedes, todo el mundo puede entrar, coger su curso, su próximo curso, hacer acomodos basados en familia, demandas de trabajo, y crean una comunidad que se apoyan unos a otros y le proveen el servicio de tutoría para que tengan éxito. Así que creo que está muy bien pensado todos los componentes del programa.
Así es.
Y las mamás que tienen niñitos, a veces llevan los niñitos con ellas a la escuela.
Algunas veces.
Siempre, sí, algunas veces tenemos niños por ahí, por la escuela, pero eso es lo que nos da más aliento para seguir trabajando.
Y qué
para
modelaje
ellos.
divino para
Claro
los
que
niños,
sí. Oh, claro
porque
que
los
sí.
niños ven a sus padres estudiando y se animan con poder estudiar
Eso,
también.
exacto, ¿viste? Y eso
Sí.
no lo ve en una universidad grande, ¿me
Sí,
entiendes?
a
Tú lo
veces
ves en
uno
un
se
colegio.
llevaba al niño a la escuela y no se daba cuenta del impacto que eso estaba teniendo, de la vida de un salón de clase y todo el mundo estudiando en serio.
It's a domino effect.
Yes.
You see your parents going out and trying to get their education. You know what? I want to do this when I get
Just
older.
gonna
Exactly.
follow
Exactly.
them.
You know,
Yep.
And they
domino
see
effect.
that no matter what age you can be a good student
Absolutely.
and commit to something like that. That's wonderful. Now, Fiorella, you have been doing the Spanish classes. What are some of the challenges you find in coaching Spanish when you have so many varieties of Spanish
Well,
in the area?
I think it's basically, I think one of the things that it was basically the dialects. Like, I know me as a Peruvian person, it's kind of like, they were like, okay, so I don't think this is the way you should say that word. And I'm like, oh, well. But, you know, you see people from, like, every part of the world, and you see, wow, this is amazing that they're taking the Spanish, and I'm able to basically share what I know, and that was a really good feeling. It was really nice. Like,
That's
really,
great.
really good.
I'm really impressed that you have the Spanish going so strong there too. And it's always good to review, even if you feel that you're confident in your Spanish skills, to sit through some classes and listen to other people's dialects.
Almost
and
definitely.
all of
You can
that.
always
It-
better
And I
our
have
Spanish.
to add that Fia was also tutoring math. It
Oh,
wasn't just
Uh-huh.
Spanish.
Yeah, that's true.
So some of them are multi-talented.
Oh yeah.
Most.
Kevin, what are the subjects that you tutor?
I do maths, English, Spanish, bio, and so on and so forth. So
Wow.
whatever we
That's
can, whatever
wonderful.
we can
And we
touch
sometimes
into.
we try to look for that because we have a limited number of tutors, and if I can get if Jose or I can find tutors that are multi,
That can address different subject areas.
that's all the
excellent.
better.
Most of our student tutors are actually versatile. Like they really are. Like he says, they teach math. They have strong. Like some of them have a strong base in just math, but they can help you with writing. They can help you with English. They can help you with that.
And there are lots of other dimensions of tutoring that I think are not talked about. And it's when you know the professors and you can talk to a student about, well, what class are you in and who's your professor?
Yeah.
I think you have to remember this is what's important for that professor, and we have to focus on
That's
that.
an edge,
and you
too.
can guide them a little
That's
better
an
than
edge.
if it were a tutor who's out, off the.
Yeah.
And one thing that actually happens a lot, and we try to tell students, is when we ask them, "Who's your professor?" I don't know. I don't know his name. Well, if you don't
Oh
know
my
his
gosh.
name, we
Very
can't help
important,
you.
Really basic protocol
Right.
here.
Right.
And it happens quite a bit, but it also happens where if you have a question, I can give you my own answer, but if you don't ask your professor yourself of what they're looking for, what I tell you isn't going to help you a whole lot.
You know what I've been telling my students? I tell them in the minimum when you sign up for a course, you should even Google the person to see what they're good
Or at least read the
something
homepage
about
site
them.
where you, because
Yes.
us being tutors and knowing the professor, I'm gonna have to add this in. John was my teacher last semester. He was my pre-calcs professor.
And you Googled him? No.
I didn't Google
an
him because he was
amazing teacher.
he's also my coordinator in the tutor. So, but that experience was good. Like we did well. I was his. In other terms, if I wasn't his tutor and we didn't have that kind of relationship, I would have been his annoying student in the front of the class. But that's that. You know what I mean?
See,
That's
but
that communication
this
we have.
speaks again to the wonderful relationships you've been able to develop in QVCC, and I think that this program is phenomenal. And I was delighted to see you again and to meet you, Fiorella, and
course.
wonderful having you on the show, and good meeting you, John.